we did.
This is my review for I Am Legend, released in 2007. Here's a few things I look forward to within the movie world. The new Tarantino movie, the new Wes Anderson movie, anything with Zooey Deschanel in, and, well, The Dark Knight. And another one of those things is the new Will Smith movie. I realise he's been in more than his fair share of stinkers, Wild West, but he's also been in some good ones, Men in Black, I, Robot, and I've heard great things but yet not seen Ali. So, here we have I Am Legend, the story of the last surviving man in the world after an outbreak of infection that turned humans, and dogs apparently, into zombie vampire-like creatures. Actually, the casting of Will Smith was a pretty solid move, as the nature of this movie needs an actor with a lot of charisma that can hold the screen, as for the majority of the time, he's the only actor on it. I would like to start by saying that as a movie-going experience, I enjoyed this film quite a bit, the defining factor being the following. In an age where shock value, if you can call it that, comes in gruesome and over-the-top violence, Saw series, Hostel, Wolf Creek, etc., it was a welcome change of pace to see a sci-fi horror that used old-fashioned delayed shock tactics and is it around that corner style that is rare to see these days. In fact, the last film I remember using that tactic was The Others in 2001, so I think it was a brave choice to shy away from all-out violence and use a more psychological fear approach. The moments we are meant to care, be scared or be on the edge of a seat hit perfect, well, at least for me anyway, and I was involved in the film a lot more than I thought I would be. There is also an interesting, yet briefly covered in some ways, argument for religion versus science in this film. Will Smith representing science, and a character he meets later, Anna, represents religion. Anna has a lot of faith where Will Smith has lost all of his, having been in the situation for a long time. In the end, it appears both come together to solve the issue, and it was an interesting concept that maybe could have been done a little further, but for what it was interesting to see play out. However, this film is not without its shortcomings. For instance, I'll have to agree with the comments on the Cgi effects, though not totally. I agree that the Cgi was, in terms of looks, not up to scale with other films of this genre. They looked more like something you might see in an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and lacked a certain grand scale feel. However, I thought the capture and motion and movement was fantastic, and in the ways helped look over a somewhat unscary zombie vampire thing. I have issue with some directions taken in the movie and the explanation of the title I Am Legend. Let me guide you to the Wikipedia for the original explanation given in the book. He reflects on how new society of living infected regards him as a monster. Just as vampires were regarded as legendary monsters that preyed on the vulnerable humans in their beds, Neville has become a mythical figure that kills both vampires and infected living while they are sleeping. He becomes a legend as the vampires once were, hence the title I Am Legend. Personally, I really like that theory, but the film sort of ditches that theory. Instead, in this film, Will Smith's character takes certain action that allows a colony of surviving humans to live and rebuild. I feel ditching the original explanation takes away from the film. It does show he has killed many zombies at one point, but not directly pointing out that he is seen as a feared entity in the eyes of the infected. Instead going for, in my eyes, a weaker reasoning for the title. There are some cheesy moments we have to come to expect, the butterfly moment for example, but it isn't played too much, and it has less sentimentality as Will Smith's character is seen to be wore down by the world he lives in, and his character is fairly to the point, which is rare, also for a big bankable star like Will Smith to play. All in all, as I say, I had some issues with it. However, as a shock film, it works. Will Smith brings you charisma you would expect. The CGI is a bit weak, but I still was able to look past it and enjoy the film. I do wish it was able to stay a little closer to the material. The film was edgier than I thought it was going to be. I would recommend this to sci-fi fans. It has some issues, but Will Smith's charisma and high-speed, tense cinematography pulls it through.